How old are you right now? Whatever your answer is, 30, 40, 50, a Stone Age human looking at you would see something remarkable. They would see someone who, by their standards, had already beaten almost impossible odds just by being alive. Because here is what most people think they know about prehistoric life expectancy. Cavemen lived to about 30, short, brutal lives, dead before they were old enough to have gray hair. It is one of the most repeated facts about early humans. And it is almost completely wrong. The 30-year figure comes from real data. Archaeologists have studied thousands of prehistoric skeletons and calculated average lifespans, and the average really does come out somewhere around 30 to 35 years. But here's the problem with that number. It is an average, and averages can be deeply misleading. Imagine a group of 10 Stone Age children. 5 of them die before their 5th birthday, from infections, from accidents, from predators, from cold. That is the brutal reality of infant mortality in the Stone Age. Now the 5 survivors grow up. They become hunters, gatherers, parents. They live to 50, 60, even 70 years old. What is the average lifespan of that group? Around 35, even though half of them lived into old age. This is exactly what happened with prehistoric humans. The 30-year average is dragged down almost entirely by the catastrophic death rate of children. It tells you almost nothing about how long an adult actually lived. Scientists who studied people who survived past 15 found something completely different. A healthy Stone Age adult had a good chance of living well into their 50s or 60s. Some lived into their 70s. The 30-year caveman is a myth, built on a mathematical illusion. To understand Stone Age life expectancy, you first have to understand what childhood actually looked like. Infant mortality in the Stone Age was somewhere between 30 and 50%. That means roughly 1 in every 2 children born did not survive to see their 5th birthday. Think about that for a moment. In your family, your street, your school, half the children gone before they were old enough to start school. That was simply the background noise of Stone Age life. Every parent expected to lose children. Every tribe had lost children. It was not a tragedy in the modern sense. It was the reality. That shaped everything about how they lived, how they loved, and how fiercely they protected the children who survived. The causes were almost always the same. Infections that any modern antibiotic would cure in 3 days, contaminated water, animal attacks, a high fever with nothing to bring it down. The cruelest fact is this: most of these children did not die of anything complicated. A small cut that became infected, diarrhea that led to dehydration, a chest infection in winter. This is why modern medicine added more years to human life than any other development in history, not by making old people live longer, by keeping children alive. But if they made it past childhood, if they survived the infections, the accidents, the predators, something changed. They were no longer just surviving. Their bodies were built for it. Ug's body had been shaped by brutal selection pressure. Every generation before him had been tested by the same world, the same predators, the same infections, the same winters. Only the strongest, healthiest, most resilient humans had survived long enough to have children. They were the product of an unbroken chain of survivors. And it showed. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer tribes consistently find the same thing. Adults who survive childhood are lean, strong, and physically capable in ways that most modern humans are not. Their cardiovascular health at 40 is better than most people in developed countries at 25. Their eyesight is sharper, their hearing more acute, their reflexes faster. A 40-year-old Stone Age hunter was not slowing down. He was at the peak of his knowledge, his skills, and his physical ability. He knew every animal trail within a day's walk. He knew which plants healed and which ones killed. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes have found that the most experienced hunters, typically men in their 40s and 50s, are actually more successful than younger men. Experience beats youth. It did then. It does now. But here is the part of Stone Age aging that nobody talks about. This is not a comfortable thing to think about. Getting old was genuinely terrifying. Not because of wrinkles or gray hair, because in the Stone Age, their survival depended entirely on what they could contribute. The moment they became too slow to hunt, too weak to gather, too frail to keep up with the tribe, their position became very uncertain. There is archaeological evidence that some elderly humans were cared for by their tribes for years, fed, protected, sheltered, long after they could no longer contribute physically. These were the knowledge keepers, the storytellers, the people who remembered where the water was in a drought that happened 30 years ago. Their wisdom was worth feeding. But not everyone was so fortunate. Some were simply left behind. This is the reality of a world with no hospitals, no pension systems, and no food to spare. So what actually killed Stone Age humans? The list is short, but every single item on it is brutal. Infections, violence, childbirth, accidents, predators. That is it. 5 things. And not one of them is a disease caused by the way they lived. No clogged arteries from processed food. No damaged lungs from cigarettes. No diabetes from sugar. The lifestyle diseases killing millions of people today were essentially unknown in the Stone Age, or at least not the killers they are today. Infections were the biggest killer. A wound that got infected. Pneumonia in winter. Food poisoning from meat that had turned. Without antibiotics, any of these could kill a healthy adult within days. Violence was more common than most people imagine. Skeletal evidence shows that a significant percentage of Stone Age humans, particularly men, died from injuries consistent with interpersonal violence. Broken skulls, embedded stone tips in bones. The evidence is clear and consistent across sites worldwide. Prehistoric life was not peaceful. Childbirth killed a significant number of women. Without medical intervention, complications in labor were frequently fatal. And then there were accidents. A fall from a cliff while hunting, a wrong step near a river, a hunt that went badly wrong. Here is something that genuinely surprises researchers when they study Stone Age skeletons. The bones are dense, unusually dense, denser than almost any modern human skeleton studied. A lifetime of physical activity, walking 10 to 15 kilometers every single day, carrying heavy loads, climbing, hunting, lifting, built bone density that modern humans simply do not achieve. Osteoporosis, the disease where bones become fragile with age, was essentially unknown in the Stone Age. Their bones did not thin. They remained thick and strong because they were used constantly. Their teeth, on the other hand, tell a different story. Tooth loss was common by middle age. Stone Age teeth are severely worn, ground down by decades of eating gritty, tough, unprocessed food. Dental abscesses, infections that spread from a bad tooth, were a genuine killer. No dentist, no antibiotics, just infections spreading inward. But the most striking finding is this. Many of the people who lived into their 50s and 60s show very little evidence of the degenerative joint diseases that plague modern older adults. Their hips, their knees, their spines, worn but functional. Movement was medicine. They moved constantly, and their joints reflected that. Your body was built to move every day for 60 years. Most modern humans deny it that. So how long did cavemen actually live? The honest answer is, it depended entirely on whether you survived childhood. If you were born in the Stone Age, your first 5 years were the most dangerous of your life. The odds were roughly 1 in 2 that you would not make it. That is a number so brutal. It is almost impossible to comprehend from the comfort of the modern world. But if you survived those first 5 years, if you made it past the infections and the accidents and the cold, your body had something remarkable waiting for it. Decades of hard, physical, purposeful life. A body that worked the way it was designed to work. A mind full of knowledge that your tribe could not afford to lose. Ugg wasn't old at 50. He was experienced. He was valuable. He was the one who remembered where the river was when the drought came. He was the one the young hunters listened to. Next time someone tells you that cavemen only lived to 30, now you know the truth. The number is real. The conclusion is wrong. If this changed how you think about aging, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Who knows what comes next? Ugg knows. Subscribe.